lot of founder syndrome types, we call it, where they absolutely refuse to do anything. I don't want your help. I don't need your help. Company's doing great. My investors told me that I need to bring you in because they want the company to do better. But I still think the company will do better under my leadership. There's a lot of those guys too. And you just have to.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining our channel. We have a very special guest today, Cleve. I know Cleve since 2017, 18, I think. And I've heard so many good things about your work, Cleve, but we never got to work together. That's pity. Maybe in the future. Thanks for being on the show. Do you mind just telling our audience, first-time founders, especially the struggling ones, that
aren't they all struggling?
Yeah.
First-time founders, the peanut butter eaters of the world?
Yes, exactly. And
Absolutely.
maybe you could tell a little bit of your background so that they understand what you know, what you've been through, and how you help companies.
Yeah. Long time serial entrepreneur. Been doing this forever, right? Started a company in 1996. And you entrepreneurs will love this, by the way. So started a company in 1996, which was called WebSense. So WebSense was a company that we really didn't have a product or anything. So we decided to develop what we called a security product that enabled some of the customers that were buying firewalls to turn the internet thing on and off, right? So that's what they called it back in 1996. Can you imagine? I mean, a lot of you guys weren't even born then, but 1996, we just came out with a browser, right? And the internet was just born. And so there was only like 3 guys. It was one of the first cybersecurity companies ever, WebSense was. And we were like one of the 4 companies in cybersecurity. That was Cisco, because they bought a firewall. Checkpoint, they just came over from Israel, right? John McAfee, right? Antivirus.
Yes,
And me, right? That was about it. And a little company, about this big called Symantec. And so we started. That was really the first cybersecurity companies in the world. And so we started WebSense because we wanted to catalog the web, right? For all the employees, all the employers out there. We wanted to tell the employers where they could go and where their employees could go and where they couldn't go. So we started WebSense, but in 1996, 1997, the 90% of the internet was porn, right? So it was all porn. So are you kidding? So we had to categorize and catalog 90% porn. So we were porn filter for the companies that were buying our product, right? And you had some gambling sites, and you had shopping for Chevy sites, and you got Bank of America had a site, but the rest of it was porn. And so we were the first porn filter, right? And the first security product. So I went and sold that idea to Cisco, which we partnered with, and I went and sold that idea to Checkpoint, which we partnered with. And the next thing you knew, we were $100 million company, went public at $1 billion market cap in March of 2000. We had 1,100 resellers and distributors in 82 countries, and we had over 20,000 corporate customers. What? And that was our little porn filter startup. And the stories that I have about starting a company in the beginning is crazy. But a porn filter company, you got to be kidding. So we were the de facto standard for content filtering for the internet, and everybody that was anybody used it. All the Fortune 500s. I can't even think of one that didn't. used it because we were what we dubbed employee internet management. And so that was kind of the start of cybersecurity,
kind of the category you created, I guess.
and the category we created, right? But in that time frame, I have 100,000 stories. Anybody wants to hear them, but we started the category called cybersecurity, right? Nobody even heard of it before. I guess it was just called security software, security hardware. And so we started cybersecurity, but WebSense was the first SaaS company. We were the first guys that charged per employee per year. And we had a database so advanced, right? And we just stumbled into all this crap because it wasn't available. It was so advanced that we had our database, our porn base in the cloud, right? Because we had to have, right? We had to store it somewhere. So we found a couple of data centers in San Diego, and we stored our database there, and everybody had to have access to the database because they wanted to download it once a week, twice a month, once a day, so they'd get all the new, latest and greatest porn sites, right? That they could filter against. So that's basically what it was, and we were the first SaaS company in the world. And I tell that story, and they go, "No, you weren't. This company was." I go, "Name them. Name anybody in 1997 that was software as a service."
When did you get out of
your name? Just name it, right?
That's incredible. So how did you get out of that? What timing did you get out of that?
So we did an IPO in March of 2000. Our IPO went to $49 a share. It opened at 18, closed at $49 a share at $1 billion market value. Crazy day, right? Nice. And so I waited about 2 years, a year and a half after that, and said, "I'm out of here, guys," and cashed in, and went and started a consulting firm, for lack of a better term, right, to help other entrepreneurs, only to help other entrepreneurs. And I said, "Hey, the cybersecurity space is prime. I'm just going to help all the guys I know in cyber." So I help them, raise money. And I help them add a management team. I help them get Fortune 500 accounts because I knew all the Fortune 500s, right? So I helped them get marquee accounts, and that turned it into a pretty fun gig, right? And that gig morphed into me being, and so then the private equity guys or the venture capital guys would come to me and say, "Hey, can you help with our portfolio companies?" And so I said, "Yeah." So that's led me to be a 6-time CEO in the cybersecurity and now artificial intelligence space. Still doing it, still having fun. Awesome. Never quit. Why quit? I'm having a great time doing it. And what happens is the VCs or the PEs come to me and say, "Hey, I've got this startup. God bless them. The founder's not going to get us where we want to go, so we're going to bring you in to help him, right? And help him where we go." So I come in and clean it up a little bit and reposition the company. And
please let's dig into that a little bit. So
make a few adjustments.
So what are those adjustments? What do you look at? Like I think every time you became a CEO, there was an exit. Obviously, if there's especially VC, a PE.
Well, it's the only reason I took it.
That's why they're bringing you in, right? So
the only reason I took it was that there's an exit in the future.
What do you change, and how do you prepare the company for an acquisition?
Okay, so that's a lot of questions there, Ike. So there's like 5 of them. You're only supposed to give me one at a time. That's my brain. Okay, so the first one, what do you do, right? So first thing, I go in and I take a look around and I say, okay, well, their operations look pretty good. Their product, I'm making this up. Their product looks pretty good, but their sales and marketing sucks. And we all know that you could have the worst company in the world, and if your sales are going through the roof, nobody cares how bad you are, right? So basically what you need to do is you need to focus on revenue, right? I figured this out a long time ago. If you focus on revenue, all the other pieces have to fall into place. So what am I saying? Okay, so if you focus on revenue, well, the product's got to work, right? So that means your product has to fall into place. And your finance guys, they have to be functional, right? Because they've got to get the billing done and all those things you need to do and to get
Not
purchasing.
overspend.
Not overspend. Your
Spending money in
marketing
the right
guys
places. Right.
Your marketing guys have to be functional. They have to be able to create and generate leads. They have to be able to follow up on the leads, and they have to be able to qualify the leads and hand them over to sales. And your sales has to be functional because, you have to have sales guys in there that are assertive and aggressive and, don't quit after the second try. That, sales are normally made after the fifth try. We all know that. And most salesmen quit after the second. So you got to keep going and going and going and going. And that's what I train my guys on. So you got to have a product that works in a market that's growing. That'll help, right?
Yeah.
With a functional management team, a team too, not just one guy and a dog, not just two guys and a dog, right? I got to have a CEO. I got to have an equivalent to a CFO, could be a controller, could be a finance manager. You got to have a sales guy. You got to have a marketing guy. And you got to have a product guy and maybe a guy that heads engineering. Maybe your product guy heads engineering. So anyway, you're just saying you got to have all those functions to make it work. And then you have to make sure that you have a strategy, which I like to call my go-to-market strategy. It's pretty common. And you got to have the management team to execute the go-to-market strategy. And if you have all those pieces in place and you set goals for everybody, and then you do everything you can to hit those goals, then you have a really good shot of making it. Yeah. So that's what I do is when I come in, I make sure they have enough money. Let's say that they want me to come in and sell it within 12 to 18 months, something like that. Help out to make it sellable in 12 to 18 months. So I come in and I say, okay, what works and what doesn't. So we find out what does work, and we make sure those people are, compensated properly and they're motivated properly and they're happy, and the culture's right. And then you go about fixing the other things that need work, like sales needs work or marketing needs work. And then you go and fix those things either with the existing people that you have, if they're good and competent, or you have to replace people and get better people. But that's kind of what I do. So I help them raise money, help them get the right people, and then help introduce them into the marquee accounts, because everybody knows after you get that first or second or third marquee account, things look really good.
Yeah.
Because you're able to raise money, you're able to attract investors, attract employees, and attract other companies to buy your product.
Can I go into two different areas there, Cleve, that caught my fancy? Number one, there's a difference between starting a business from scratch and you can put your team together. But there's a difference when you're going into an existing team and you're making, in some cases, radical changes. How do you win them over? How do you convince them to follow your way? What is it that you've learned over time? Because a lot of people are resistant to change. And
God.
You're going in, you're being parachuted into potentially a hostile territory because people don't want you to bother what's going on, yet they know they need it. How do you convert them? So true. Right? That's an important people side. Can you help me with that one?
Let's take the two steps, right? The first step is the founder, right? And God bless the founders, because all companies need them, right? So I really love founders and really love what they do and really love what they accomplish and so on. Sometimes, not all the time, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, those guys are examples of founders that build mega companies. A lot of times founders can't do that. No. And so we have to convince them, hey, I'm here to help you. And I give them some examples. Hey, I helped this one guy that was a founder, and he really had trouble scaling the company from 5 to 10 to 20 to 30 million. I helped him scale the company, and we sold the company for $300 million, and he was able to get 30 million out of that. And so those are things that you tell the founders, and their eyes brighten up pretty quick, and they go, wow, that sounds great. Can you do that for me? I said, yeah, let me try and help you. I don't want to replace you. I just want to help you. But I want you to know that if it takes me to become the CEO of the company, then you can move to another position within the company and help me, because you know the company better than everybody else. And you know the ins and the outs and the ups and the downs and what's in the closet, and I need you. So what I'd like to do is come on board and help you. And if I have to take over as a CEO, sometimes the investors demand that. If I have to take over the CEO, will you stay on board and help me? Maybe you could stay on as an executive chairman. Maybe you can stay on as a VP of strategy, something like that, chief evangelist.
Yeah.
Something like that to help me, because I'm going to need your help. And that kind of goes over pretty well. There is a lot of founder syndrome types, we call it, where they absolutely refuse to do anything. I don't want your help. I don't need your help. Company's doing great. My investors told me that I need to bring you in because they want the company to do better. But I still think the company will do better under my leadership. There's a lot of those guys too, and you just have to work with them. You're right, with kid gloves, and most of the time you can convince them, hey, I'm here to help. Let me help. Here's my background. Here's what I do for a living. If we work together as a team, we'll get this done a lot faster with a better outcome.
Yeah.
You try your best, right?
You absolutely have to. The second related topic, if you could go there, is you also said you often are involved in raising of funds for that.
Oh yeah, sure. I've raised 300 million, I think, in my life. So let's say that the private equity firm or the venture capital firm hires me, and they say, hey, we want you to come in and the company's not doing well, or the company's not doing as well as we'd like, and come in and take a look. And so sometimes you go in there and they've got 6 months of cash left, and so you say, okay, I can't, this is nice and the company looks like it has a good potential, but it's going to take me longer than 6 months to turn it around and get it ready for an exit, right? So I'm going to have to either raise more money, either from you, Mr. Private Equity Firm or venture capital firm, or from others. Meaning I can bring another VC firm in, or another PE firm in, or some high net worth individuals in to come and help us fund this until we can fund it with a note, we can fund it with equity, we can fund it with debt, just different ways that we can fund the company to give me the runway that I need to turn it around. So yes, I've come in many times and had to raise $5-10 million for the company to make sure they had 12 to 18 months of runway.
Fantastic. I'm sure even that willingness to help in that category is going to convince more of the founders to say, please help me.
That's right. You think about it though. So we're here in Orange County, all of us. I know you're in Utah, but Ike and I are in Orange County. And do you know that there are over 450 family offices from Los Angeles to San Diego that are investors, tech investors? So, oh my God, you're kidding me? Family offices, which is high net worth guys. It's 12 billionaires in Orange County alone. High net worth guys that will, if you have relationships with them in the past or you get introduced to them, will be willing to fund your company in for equity or for debt or convertible notes type things. So yeah, there's a huge population of people right here in Orange County or between LA and San Diego for sure that you can raise money, fairly quickly and easier than it would be to go the institutional route.
Yeah.
The institutional route is minimum 6 months.
Oh yeah, and it comes with a lot more things.
Yeah, friends and family are 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I got too many questions.
So let me ask one more time. So
no, you got. I have plenty of.
Yeah, I know.
I got the answers.
So let's take one of those cases where a founder didn't want to let go his leadership. You're helping him. I think one of the differences is when the founder is started it from the beginning, he has a lot of emotional connections to the people, the way the business has been done before, the existing customers, a lot of emotional attachments. Do you feel you're a little bit of an advantage when you come in because you don't have emotional attachment and you can make those decisions much clearly without those emotions, or are you forced to help the founder come to that stage so that they can make decisions without those attachments?
Yes.
So how? Give some juice, some examples.
That's my answer. Yeah, because it really depends on the founder. But most of the time, the founder's good, man. He knows that, hey, you're coming in to help him, and that if he stays out of his own way and allows the company to grow, that he's going to get a better exit, which only benefits him, right? There are guys out there that just refuse to give in, right? And giving up control is tough. We all know that. And I'm sympathetic as can be, but you still have to, you're hired to do a job. So you still have to do what it takes to get the job done. And so sometimes the founders need to be, and most of the time they stay on board. Sometimes they can't do it themselves. They can't bring themselves to do it and have to be, they still own their stock and they still get the benefit of an exit. But a lot of times they can't be involved in the company because they see the change that they don't want to make.
And one of the reasons we put fearless founders is to name, it has two meanings, Cleve. One is like he or she was fearless to found this company and scale it up. You have a lot of challenges in doing that, but at the same time, a lot of fear-based decisions or no decisions are blocking them. That's why we pick the name so we can help them. I know we're fearless, but they're also sometimes fearful in the daily life.
Well, that kind of goes hand in hand, right? Yeah, like I say, God bless the founders. We need them. And any of you guys sitting out there thinking about starting a company, don't wait. Just do it. And you say, oh, I don't have any money. I didn't either. I didn't either. Right. And we were able to do it. So just get it in your head that I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make it happen and it's going to be successful, and start today. So that's my words of wisdom. Right. The day that every day you don't do it is the day that you're going to regret. So just get out there and make it happen. And founders are fearless and fearful. What if I don't have any money? What if it doesn't work? What if it, how am I going to feed my kids? That kind of stuff. Somehow it works out. Somehow the kids get fed. Somehow the wife gets new shoes. Somehow sometimes you just gotta, you just, stick to the grind to just make it happen, and it works out. And I'm not saying they all work out, right? There are a certain amount of companies that just won't make it, but then that will give you the ability to say, oh, I know what I did wrong. I'm going to do it again, and I'm not going to do that wrong. And you come up with a whole book of what not to do, right? And so it gives you knowledge, right? And on what to do and what's right and what's wrong.
Can I go in the direction of having enough cash in the bank? Two questions around that. You take over a new entity in which you didn't have any founding knowledge, and yet there you are pitching, whether it be a family office or an institutional investor, the merits of this company and why they should invest. What have you learned from having done that multiple times that you could teach first-time founders? From passion to brevity of the product and the market that it's going to fit? What is it that allows you to do this on a repeated basis, even if you didn't know the company from before, and yet you're successfully raising money? That's one on that
Right.
one. And then related to that, Cleve, and then afterwards, how do you manage the relationship with any investor successfully so that there is healthy tension, but not the avoidance that founders have this, either they hide or they'll lie in order to get the next tranche to be made available. They're scared of seeming incompetent in front of the investors. So those are, how do you manage them after, and how do you go get the money for not having really understood the business beforehand, or having not founded the company from scratch? Two related questions.
You guys and your multiple questions here. Okay. All right. So first off, I tell them, hey, sit down and watch a couple episodes of Shark Tank, right? It'll give you a good idea of what it takes to raise money, right? Because the guys on Shark Tank are guys that I know, Mark Cuban, I know Bob Herjavec, they're all, cybersecurity guys, right? And tech guys. So we've known them in the past, dealt with them in the past. And Bob Herjavec's first company was a WebSense reseller. Just gives you an idea, some of the guys on Shark Tank. So watch a couple episodes of Shark Tank. Number one, be prepared. That's the number one thing. You got to really be prepared. You got to know your business inside and out. Because how are you going to raise money if you can't tell them how they're going to get their money back, right? Yeah. So that's the biggest thing, right? I have a great analogy. So Ike and I go to a barbecue. We see each other. We haven't seen each other in months, and Ike says, hey, Cleve. And I said, hey, Ike, and how you doing, buddy? Great. How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the dog? And we have a great conversation. At the end of the barbecue, I go up to Ike and I say, hey, Ike, can you loan me $20? And so Ike kind of gives me a funny look and digs into his pocket and gives me the $20, right? So the next barbecue we go to next month, I see Ike again. Do you think he asked me about my wife and my family and my kids? What does he ask me about? Where's my $20? Right? He didn't give a shit about anything else. Where's my money back? I want my money. So that's raising money, right? That's a venture capitalist. So basically what you do is you hey, wife, how the wife, how the kids, and how's the dog, and how's the cat, and how's the bird? And you get the money from them because you're prepared, you know your business better than anybody else, and you really have a differentiator from other businesses that are out there. Something special, right? And you let them know what that something special is. Here's the problem. Here's the solution. Here's my something special. Here's my management team. Remember we talked about product, market, management team, go to market. Here's my management team. Here's my go-to-market strategy. And here's how we're going to get your money back, right? Here's how I'm going to repay you. So that's the kind of presentation, short and sweet, 20 minutes, right? You put together 5, 6, 7 slides. You say, hey, here's me, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's my team, here's my strategy, and I need X amount of money from you guys to complete this venture and prepare to get your money back to you and your return on investment. So that's what they really want to know. They're going to give you money every time if you come up with if you're prepared and you come up with a great solution to a problem that's out there and how you're going to execute against that problem. So that's pretty much the way it goes there. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to get funded every single presentation you make, because 9 out of 10 of them are going to say, I don't know. But that one guy's going to say yes, right? The 10th guy's going to say yes, and you're going to raise your funds. But so there's a 90% chance they say no, but don't quit, right? Keep going. Find that guy that says yes. And there's always that guy that says yes.
Yes.
So, okay. The second part of your question here, that's how you raise the money. Second part is, I kind of touched on a little bit, is preparation. So what I do is I go get a crash course. I go sit down with the guys that built the product and sold the product, right? For a crash course. Give me 3-4 days face to face with these guys. Tell me everything you know about the company and the product and how to sell it and what makes it different. So if I can go into an investor and give them, hey, this is Cleve, done this 7, 8 times. Here's the problem in the world. Here's a product. Here's a solution. The product works. I've got X, Y, Z companies that use it. The market is growing. Cybersecurity market, AI market. We all know that it's crazy. And then after that, you say, hey, and I've got a team of guys that followed me from startup to startup, or I have a team in place within the company that I'm very comfortable with, that is going to be able to execute our go-to-market strategy. And that's really going to be and my product's different because of X. And so that's kind of what they want to hear. And you have a really good chance of raising money that way. Cool. And that's what I do. I take the crash course, find out the product works, the market's growing, the executive team's solid, and my go-to-market strategy can be executed by that team.
Great. And then how do you keep the relationships with those investors in good footing throughout the journey? Because I'm sure they all want to know, when's it going to happen? Do we get the money back? You know?
Right. Where's my $20, right? Yeah. So, yeah. So you just have to keep in touch with them. What I all the time, I give them monthly updates on everything that's happening. I hold nothing back. If we're doing crap, I tell them we're doing crap. If we're doing great, I tell them we're doing great. And then I say, hey, I'm doing everything that I can to get this company prepared for sale. And here's the things that we've accomplished in the past 30 days, that type of stuff. Sold this company, built this product, added this chat GPT to this AI version, did this, did that, did this, did that, right? And just keep them informed. Yeah. That's really what they want to know is how am I going to get my $20 back? And as long as you keep them informed, they say, at least I know what's going on in the company. I'm confident I'm going to get my $20 back.
I'm intrigued because you've done this so many times. Do you go take the company over and during the journey figure out who could be possible buyers, or do you just get the company in great tip-top shape and buyers come to you? What's the two ways that you have figured out?
That's a good question.
Well, you guys, have you ever had a product ever in your life that sold itself? That you just sat at home on the couch watching Oprah, and all of a sudden your phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. People trying to buy your product. If you have that company, let me know, because I'll come over and help you watch Oprah, right, and eat ice cream. So it just doesn't happen ever. I don't care what anybody says. My product will not sell itself. If you don't go out and sell it, it's not going to be sold. So you really have to be assertive about it, and you really have to get up every day and go sell your product. Sell yourself, sell your company, sell your product every day.
And so you are deliberately targeting buyers of the business simultaneously.
100%. First off, I go to all the partners of the company, and I said, "Hey, new guy, nice to meet you. We're going to make a few changes. It's going to be exciting. We're going to add this to our products, and we're going to add this to our marketing. We're going to add this to our sales. You want to be part of it? You want to help? You want to do some joint marketing? You want to do some press releases? You want to, help me along my journey? Let's go for it. Oh, and by the way, during those conversations with the CEO of the partner company, I'll let them know, hey, I'm here to sell the company. You guys interested? You guys interested? If not, let me know. If you're not interested, that's great. But if you are interested, you know where I'm going. I'm going to do this in 12 to 18 months. So if you're interested in the company, let me know. If you're not, if you know anybody that would be interested, let them know. And but in the whole time, I'm out preparing the company for sale. And the reason I'm doing that is because, I'd rather sell it to a partner or a strategic, where I don't have to get all the bankers and the lawyers and everybody involved. But then right off the bat, the last one I sold, right off the bat, I found it took me about 3 months to get everything all, reorganized, if you will. Then I went out and hired a banker. And the banker and I got together and we sat down and say, okay, here's the top 50 companies in this space that would be a target for us to be acquired by. right?
Yeah.
And then we would go out and connect with those 50 companies, partner companies, strategics, resellers, competitors, complementary tech. And we put together the top 50 companies, and we go reach out to them and say, hey,
Yeah,
we're for sale, and that are you interested?
thank you. In my experience, like my startup experience, I now look back and say everything I went through was a great lesson to me, like experience gained. I remember one example. It was this was an epiphany moment for me when the COVID came. We were supposed to reduce the headcount so we can survive. I
COVID.
went to every board member I had, and their response to me was so similar, all of them. Yeah, I've been there. Yes, I've done that a few times. Yes, I've been there, done that. If it does, this is what you need to do. I'm looked at my board. They all have done it, right? So that was my first time.
That's why you're their board, right?
Yes, exactly, right.
So their advice.
Yes.
And help.
When the time, so when I look at all my experiences as a startup from start to finish, I think selling the company was the hardest for me. The amount of due diligence were like off the charts compared to when I was raising money.
Yeah.
And I had a very good law firm, well known, but we're still like a smaller company, 20 million ARR. So I would bring like 2-3 lawyers. On the other side, PE firm brought an army of 17 people from Deloitte. Like,
yeah, all right.
This is not fair fight.
Yeah, you're outgunned. You're outmanned.
So like that was the most challenging, I think, duration for my experience. So tell us a little bit, like you mentioned strategics probably way easier way to avoid all that. What are the tips and tricks that you can tell the founders?
Well, yeah. So everybody that founded a company, you go out and find the bellwether accounts in your industry, right? For instance, if you're a cybersecurity guy, you would go out to some of the biggest cyber guys. Microsoft is the biggest security company in the world. Guys like CrowdStrike, Microsoft, guys with a lot of cash, they're generating. Go to them. Number one. If you're in AI, there's a certain AI players. If you're in dairy farming, there's certain places that you could go to sell your company in the dairy farming industry. There are, right? But what you do is you put together a list of the top 20, 30, 40 companies that you would love to sell to. And then you go out and approach those companies. And they feel good about it because they like being approached, right? They actually have people on board their company that's like corporate development, right? Guys that are in charge of growing their company. So they have guys full time that want to vet companies to buy. So this gives them another company to vet and go after, right? So if you find the industry bellwethers and you go after them, but then, let's say that they all go, you suck and we're not going to buy your company. You go to the secondary guys, right? There might be secondary guys or tertiary guys, the other list of 20, the third list of 20 that you may have to go to get bought. So let's say you're not going to get bought for $1 billion. You're only going to get bought for 50 million. Still, you're going to get bought for 50 million. So, what you're doing is you have a target list like you would any sales organization. And instead of selling your product, you're selling your company.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it takes the same organization, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It takes the lawyers and bankers are helpful, regardless. I don't know if you hired a banker, Ike, but
I did, yes.
They're helpful, right?
Yes.
They
for sure.
can do a lot of stuff you can't do.
You just need to know their role versus your role as a CEO.
Yeah. They have
right.
to.
So they're the ones for me. Like I said, here are the 50 targets that like you mentioned. They did all that research and all that, but when the time comes for negotiations, you can't leave everything to them. You have to be sitting on the table and understand what the terms that the other company is offering,
Right.
and then be very knowledgeable about it. And I'll give you an example. I met two founders. They both got their exits through strategics. One of them, I think this was Okta CEO, founder. They sold to Google. He said to me, Ike, it was a 3-year relationship building. We visited them and we explained the situation where we are casually, and then they were ready to buy it at that moment, whether they put money or not. The second one was, yeah, we got money from the strategic, and they put a first right of refusal. So after that, we had no buyers because nobody came to us, because nobody wanted to put an offer on the table, because my strategic would just grab the deal from them. So they said our only option is the public, which is really hard. So like, if you're raising money from, I think we had a guest, right? A few months ago, Binoy. They sold to Salesforce.com, but they wouldn't allow them to invest until the last moment. So there are these things that the founders has to be careful about, and you have to have a good team, whether it's a advisor, coach, or law firm advising you these terms. Hey, you're signing on this term. These are the consequences, right?
Right. So yeah, there's really nothing like selling a company, is there, Ike? I mean, it's completely different than anything else you've ever done, right? Because you have lawyers that are telling you all this stuff, and then you have their lawyers that are telling you all this stuff, and then you have your bankers that are telling you all this stuff, and then you have their bankers tell you know. So it's crazy, right? And then you have your own investors, like your own board. And they're excited and they want to know every step of the way what you're doing, right? So,
and your own board, like you said, I didn't think about that until you said it. Your own board.
Then they have to approve it, and then let's say you have 25 investors. Let's say you went out in your life and you started off with your dad and your mom and Uncle Joe and Aunt Jenny, and then your seed, and then you went out and raised money from a family office, Joe's family office in Newport Beach, and Joe gave you a couple million. Then you got Joe and his guys, and then you went out and raised a Series A round, and now you've got some institutional investors. So you've got a couple of VCs and maybe a couple of local money manager guys, or see what I mean? Next thing you know, you got 25 million. You got 25. You raised your money, which is great, right? But you got 25 investors. And so now when you sell the company, you got to go out and get the blessing from those 25 investors, right? And 20 of them are going to go, or I want more. This is a good return for my $20. It's only $25, but maybe we should let's hold out for more. Or maybe the deal's so good, they'll go, hey, give me my $20 and my other $20 I just made, and I'll double my money. I'm out of here. Or in your case, Ike, let me 8 times my money, right? And I'll take the deal. If you do deals like that, then you'll probably get all of your investors. But let's say you're a 10-year-old company and you have 25 investors, and 10 of those investors were from 10 years ago. And the 5 of those investors are from today. And you have 10 that came along in that 10-year stretch. And so you get a good price for your company, but the 10 investors the initial investors have been crammed down so much that they're getting nothing.
Yeah.
Or very little, right?
Yeah.
And so they're saying, you suck. I'm going to take a loss on this deal. I'm not voting for it. Or I'm only going to get my $20 back. and
Yes.
another $5, and it's not worth it. I'm not going for it. And they vote no, right? So then you have problems, right? You go, oh, I got to get 75, 80% of all my investors to say yes, and I don't have that.
Yeah.
Yes, very tough. Very tough.
And so
Yep.
you got to go make concessions somehow
Yep.
to get those other 20% that's holding out to vote your direction. So
Agreed. Yeah.
it can be tough. So there's a lot of negotiation, but entrepreneurs out there, it's worth it. If you get to the point where you're negotiating your exit with your own investors, that's exactly where you want to be, right?
No problem.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
What's that old saying? You're only in trouble if you're successful, and that's exactly where you want to be.
That's right.
That's where you want to be. You want to put yourself in the position to be negotiating with your investors to sell your company for a big profit.
Yes, and don't forget. I will add to that,
because that's success. Yeah, is it hard? Yeah. Is it the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life? Yes.
Yes.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Bino, you were gonna say something.
Yeah. I've got too many topics, and we're going to run out of time. In the remaining time, I had to ask you this question. You said at the start, Cleve, that revenue, I said, sales covers all ills, is usually the area that you tackle. What have you seen consistently as you take over these businesses that they don't do? Yes, it could be product, this, but what are the top 2 things you see them consistently not doing that you address immediately, and that makes the biggest bang for the buck when it comes to revenue?
Tech companies are founded by tech dudes, right? Tech dudes are tech dudes, right? They've got this great idea. They build this product. They assemble a team. They've got this best product in the world. And you know what they don't really do well is the business side of the house. Okay. Some do. Some are great. Some don't. So basically what I find with every organization that I go in is that they usually suck at sales and marketing.
Yeah.
They usually do. I mean, they're tech dudes, right? They're not the sales. You don't have very many tech companies started by sales and marketing guys, right? Because they're sales and marketing guys. So you need those two, to fit together. And so you have to have your sales and marketing. So what I find on a lot of these tech companies is they're focusing on product, and they're focusing on market, and they're focusing on management, which is great, but they're not focusing on the strategic go-to-market strategy. That means they've got to have a highly functioning sales organization that's well-trained, really knows what they're doing, and can really sell the product. You really have to have a highly functional marketing team that can generate you enough leads to keep your sales guys on the street, all day long, 5 days a week, every month, every year, right? So that's what you need. I really need a great marketing team, and I don't need some girl that just got out of college. I don't need some person that just got out of college that doesn't have the capability to do what I need to do, meaning I need to have 100 leads a week generated every week, right? Not just 100 leads once or something like that. I've got 5 sales guys. They close every 5th deal I get them, they close. So therefore, if I want them to close 10 deals, hypothetical here, I need to get them 50 leads.
Yeah.
And I got 5 of them. So I need 250 leads. Yeah. You see what I mean? Yeah. So I need the marketing people to be able to get me the leads that I need to hit my sales targets. So those things really have to be lockstep, and they really have to be functioning together to get that done. So that's one thing that I find the biggest problem I find in any tech organization is sales and marketing.
Fantastic. I agree with you. In the journey that I've taken, revenue, I said, is number 1 priority, and most people don't know how to systematically, intentionally recreate that sale, because they got it at the first few or first 10 or first 50, but then to create a system so you can be predictable, that's the main downfall of many of our startup friends. And I'm sharing this with all of our listeners. It happens.
All you startup guys out there, right? Make sure, and if you're a tech dude, make sure that your product works. in a market that's growing, that your management team is functional, right? But your go-to-market strategy includes the sales and marketing pieces, meaning how many sales guys, it's pretty basic to me. How many, here's my sales targets, right? I want to do $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay. How many sales does it take to get $1 million? Well, my product is $10,000.
Yeah.
So obviously I need that many sales to hit $1 million. Okay. To hit that many sales, how many sales calls do I need to make? Right. So if I sell one deal, and if you don't know it, you got to guess. So I sell one deal for every 5 calls. So therefore I got to make, X amount of calls to hit my targets. Right. And it's not rocket science. It's saying, hey, this is how I'm going to hit my goal. But to hit my goal, I need sales and marketing to be really functioning. And they need to make this many sales calls. And if they're not making that many sales calls, we have to find out why. And if it's I don't have enough leads, all your leads suck, I don't have enough customer lists, I don't have enough experience, you fix all that.
Yep. Got it. May I got one more question that I want to pursue.
Maybe the last one.
Yeah. It's been a long time since you've had to worry about cash in the bank for your business. The very first time founders, they always suffer from that lack of oxygen, and right, and then
Yes.
the tunnel vision just narrows because of the lack of cash in the bank. It's tough, and you said it even at the start. It always works out. You got to grit your teeth and whatever. There's something about advice that I think you can provide to all of these founders when there is not enough cash in the bank. What advice would you give them so that they can somehow or another enlarge the vision instead of narrowing it down and suffocating themselves because of fear? They're grabbed and they're thrown to the ground with fear. What would you say to them so that they can have some confidence that they can work their way out of this?
Well, so let's say they're down to just a couple of months of money left, and they know that they need to raise money, right? And they've tried it and they've failed, or they've tried it and it was really hard to do, or they tried it and they raised the money, so they know how to do it. So those are the 3 scenarios. So one of the best things that I found out was go get help. Just, hey, I need help raising money. There's nothing wrong with that. Go find a guy that'll help you, that knows what he's doing. Go find a guy that's raised a couple $100 million that can help you introduce you to the right people, right? Maybe there's Joe up the street that can't wait to get rid of his, he just sold his house in Newport Beach, and he wants to invest it, and he can't wait to invest $1 million in somebody's tech company, but he doesn't know where to go. So he's out there looking around, and you just need to go to somebody that can help you, introduce you into people that are investors, that you can go present your 6 or 7 slides to in 20 minutes. And that's the way to do it. I mean, yeah, you got to bite the bullet and invest in the guy that's going to help you raise the money. And he's going to help you, right? Because he's going to tell you, this is how you raise the money. This is how you raise the money from the people that you want to raise it from. And this is how long it's going to take. So
yeah, I think for
there are guys out there, me included, there are guys out there that love to help entrepreneurs.
I think I came to realization that as a founder, everything you do is a lesson. I think if you want to learn a lesson, including the raise money, right? Get help or do whatever, but know that this is your experience for this startup. When you learn all these things, maybe easiest way is the ask for help. On your next startup, next journey, you will have that knowledge. Nobody can take that away from you. So to me, it was easier to think that way when I'm asking help. because I'm just asking for temporary teachers to teach me on that moment what I need, so I can be successful on the next one by myself. If that's what you want to do.
That's
Because
right.
because most founders,
revenue consultants, management consultants, executive coaches, guys that will help you raise money and tell you exactly what to do.
yeah, but because most people won't ask, most founders won't ask because they carry the burden that their value is on the line if they don't do it by themselves, right?
Yeah.
So to
So-
ask for help is
right?
ask to help is weakness, when in fact that's smart. Not only reframing, like Ike said, because this is a lesson so I can be better, but it's actually reframing it so that they can say, yeah, let me go get an expert to help me, instead of I have to do this, and they keep
How great would it be if every startup came with an expert that'll tell you exactly what to do and exactly how to do it and exactly when to do it? I'd hire them every time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was gonna add, Binoy, to the founders, if they need to reframe it in their own way, whatever is gonna satisfy their ego, so that they get over that and then get help, right?
That's fantastic. That's
That's right.
a great way
I mean, come on, right? If I had a guy that would whisper in my ear every decision that I made, whether if it was the right one or the wrong one, or how great would that be?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made any mistakes, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the title of this podcast.
Don't make
whisper in my ear.
Cleve
get help.
Cleve the CEO whisperer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's a good one. Hey, so I've been called the Godfather of SaaS too. That's the title.
There you go. Nice.
Right? So I was speaking. It's just fun little. You can turn the recording off if you like. It's fun. It's fun to speak about this. But I was doing a conference in Las Vegas, and a big conference. And so about 400 people in the audience, and I was talking about cybersecurity and artificial intelligence and where it's been and where it's going and that kind of stuff. But we went back to in the 90s where we built the first SaaS company, and some kid stood up back there and he says, "So you're the Godfather of SaaS?" I said, "Yeah, I'll take that." So I've hung on to that for a long time.
Nice.
And then I got so I did a conference in San Diego a few months ago, and I was introduced by Nolan Bushnell, which is a good friend of mine, right? Which is the Godfather of Silicon Valley. He introduced me as the Godfather of SaaS. I thought that was pretty funny.
Nice. Well, great to have the Godfather of SaaS in our program.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna thank you, Cleve. It's been great pleasure to have you.